Donald Trump, he's got his new tone, everybody, this week that the media is so happy to give him. So he now thinks that it's an okay idea if you want to wear a mask. But Kellyanne Conway, she is coming out and saying that not only is Donald Trump now saying that you should wear a mask, but he was actually ahead on this topic, ahead of all of these Democrats that want to claim that they were serious when it came to masks. Here's what she had to say.
He set many examples. He has said many things about, he said in April, if people want to wear a mask, they should wear a mask. He said that. And you got to go back and pull it. I think it's very honest if you're not putting that as part of your reporting. He was way ahead of other people on that. Adam Schiff was still, in his basement looking for collusion and nonsense. Biden's been in his basement. And again, I really think it's important to recognize that this president has presented members of his task force, the doctors on the task force, not just out into the public talking to the press, ladies and gentlemen, but also testifying under oath on Capitol Hill again and again and again. They've all been asked about masks. They've all answered that question. They're there on behalf of the government. They're there on behalf of the task force, and it's a great.
So, Donald Trump has always been great on masks. I mean, after all, early on he said, if you want to wear one, you can wear one, which would seem to follow naturally without the president needing to acknowledge that you're free to put cloth over your face. That to me isn't the same
leadership, man. That is leadership.
It is. You've seen a lot of leaders, Michael. Do you think that Trump isn't getting enough credit?
Yeah, it's I frustrates the hell out of me when people aren't giving him the credit he deserves for telling us to wear masks all the time when we're out. I think this is absurd, but I do think this speaks to the people that support Donald Trump, that they will believe whatever comes out of that little plot of land in the United States. That if you have Kellyanne Conway or Kayleigh McEnany, and I don't know how you confuse them, Josh. That's weird, John. But the
confused me.
The whole notion that we have this idea that you can say these things and they go unchecked by the people who want to believe them is part of their success. And so they'll keep doing it. And we should, stop being less surprised, but we should keep pointing it out.
Yeah. And like him saying that you can if you want to, but then refusing to over and over and over again.
You can if you want to. I mean, of course you can if you want to, right? I mean, you could have done that before there was a pandemic. Sometimes you
say it anytime.
Masks, yeah.
You could wear a scary movie mask if you want to. I could wear a fedora if I want to. I don't, and I shouldn't, but I could. That doesn't mean anything. He kept going. He went to a place that was making PPE and spoiled a batch because he refused to wear a mask. What a fraud! Like again, I was going to call her Kayleigh McEnany. Kellyanne Conway. Like, I know it's politics, and I know that I really have to shed the last bit of this naive approach. But, like, how could you say something like that? You know full well what his position on masks have been. To pretend that he was an advocate for their use. When they were mocking how Biden looks in his mask, and he was saying, oh, yeah, it's going to look great when I'm meeting the king of some country wearing a mask. Yeah, no, I'm sure the king would appreciate it, by the way. He'll be wearing one.
Right.
It's just so fake.
And then to say that Schiff and Biden, I mean, I don't know how that's resonating either. Adam Schiff is in his basement.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the second part of what she said was, not only did he say you can wear a mask if you want to, but he also had members of the coronavirus task force testify, which is technically true. And I went back and looked at a little bit of that testimony and the response from the White House, because you're going to be shocked to find out they didn't want it to happen when it happened. And things like, they had good reason, because in the end, Fauci ended up debunking a number of Trump's favorite coronavirus lies. For instance, talking about the idea that the virus will just disappear. He said, I've said publicly many times that this is just not going to happen because it's such a highly transmissible virus. Or for instance, when Mitt Romney asked him about the fact that Trump says that President Obama is responsible for our lack of a vaccine for a disease we didn't have yet. And he says, was Obama or Trump responsible for that? And Fauci said, no, Senator, not at all. And so at the end, not so surprisingly, Trump criticized Fauci for that testimony. So it is a weird rewriting of history to point to testimony they didn't want to happen and then attacked him after for attacks that continue to this week as evidence that he takes this seriously.
That was great show prep, John, because that's so true. I mean, when you look at the way this has gone, that's perfectly according to script every single time that one of his lieutenants is marched up to Capitol Hill to speak. And whether they like the president or not, they're always called out on the fact that of what's going on vis-a-vis masks, the addressing of the virus from the White House, and the president. Whenever he disagrees with something that doesn't look good or wants to do, he calls someone out for it. It's been a pattern from the very beginning since they've been going to the Hill.
Yeah. And by the way, in terms of how serious he is and the new tone, and he's really turned a corner on this coronavirus thing and all that. His interview with Dr. Siegel last night, what people are focusing on, and I totally understand why we led with it, was the 5 words, the TV and the man and the woman and all of that. But do you know what else he said? He was talking about testing. He called testing overrated. Not 3 months ago or a month ago. Last night he called it overrated and said it would be better if we did half as much testing because then we'd have half as many cases.
And that's not the first time he said that in the past week either. I mean, it's a continued theme. And again, he's running for president and he thinks, and he's being told that this message somehow works with the people that support him. It may. And it may be smart politics, but he needs more than the people who already support him. Yeah. And that's why I find that it's so short-sighted on the political side of his administration. They got rid of Brad Parscale. Maybe things will change, but they didn't last night. And I don't know. It makes no sense to me just from an objective political thing. It's hard for me to be objective about Donald Trump. But when I try and do that, I still don't understand.
I agree. And again, if maybe there's critics or whatever, it's not just a rhetoric thing with him saying we do too much testing. In the negotiations going on right now, the White House tried to block money for the CDC, for the Pentagon to do coronavirus tracing and things like that. They are literally trying to stop the testing from happening. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.